here is everything we need to get our gaming system set up on our Raspberry Pi using RetroPie. First, we need a Raspberry Pi 3, of course. As I mentioned, you can use a Raspberry Pi 2, but the performance would be a little bit not as good as the Raspberry Pi 3. An HDMI cable. You'll also need an AC adapter to power up your Raspberry Pi. Alternatively, although it's not necessary, if you want to do configurations, you can have a USB mouse and keyboard that allows you to enter configurations from the terminal and to specialize the operation of your RetroPie. If you're connecting directly to a TV or a monitor that has speakers, the sound output can come through the HDMI cable, but alternatively, you can use a speaker that can be connected to the 3.5mm audio jack out of the Raspberry Pi and configure your sound to come through that speaker. You'll also need an SD card that you would flash the RetroPie operating system on, and this would be inserted into your Raspberry Pi to boot up the gaming system. And you'll need an additional USB thumb drive, and this will be used to copy the games or ROMs onto this thumb drive. It would then be inserted into the USB slot on your Raspberry Pi, and RetroPie will copy over and initialize those games for us. We will see how we do that in another lecture. A very important component that you will need is a USB gaming pad. This is the iBufallo Classic USB Gamepad. I've had quite a bit of luck with this. It works really well, and there is some weight to the game controller. As you can see, it resembles a Super Nintendo gaming controller with 4 buttons, and there are also a left and right button to the top. I will place a link to this in the resources, but any USB game controller that works with your PC or other gaming systems should be able to work with RetroPie. One of the first things that we do when we start up RetroPie is that we configure the USB controller. So this is definitely an essential part of the gaming system. You are also allowed to have up to 4 USB game controllers, but initially we will just do our setup with 1 to illustrate the process, and in setting up the other controllers, you'd follow the same process to get those going. So those are all the components that we need for our gaming system.